This situation that we're dealing with here in the world today is, you can see Satan's hand because he's pushing us to extremes. As a student of history, I wouldn't feel bad if Muslims were doing these things and busy going to colleges and universities and developing their mind. But what we're doing is we use that as an excuse not to compete and participate. I was talking with some imams, they told me you got, well, you know, in Philly, you got 60 masjids. I said, I don't feel good. We had maybe half of those were schools. Then you telling me something. They say you got 66 masjids. I mean, people come out once a week for Jumuah, and other times you may not see them. And all the time, their children are in education institutions where their minds are being shaped not to follow the Qur'an and the Qur'an based on the Prophet ﷺ. It's been to continue on this freakish trend where it's normal to be homosexual and abnormal to even comment on it. And see, man, I'm not a culture man. That's it. You mean to tell me that you don't know the purpose of your mouth? You mean you think that sex should be in your mouth? And you don't know the purpose of your anus? See, let's talk about, it's not gay. You gotta understand what you're saying when you say that. See, but this society made it so comfortable. They say it and you don't even register what they're having you buy into. All right? Allah said in the Quran, let there be no change in nature which Allah has established man on. I said, so you saying that more, I said, well, since you guy is gay, he should go to the women's bathroom. Because he's not attracted to women. Oh, no, but if you go to the man's bathroom, that's what he want to see. He want to look at other men's private parts. No, we don't mean that. No, that's what you're saying. See, I mean, that comes to the teach. Some of you be trying to understand it and analyze it. What did they analyze? Nature. Nature-based religion. It have you understand what is your nature and what is the nature God approved. I said, I have nothing against homosexuals, but I have everything for what God says in the revealed text. Some of you be trying to explain it, understand it. No, what did they understand? God has said he created male and female. And each one has a function for the perpetuation of the human species. See, even just talking about some of you get nervous because they done condition you to think that, oh, if you pointing things out, you're homophobic. Homo what? No, let's go back. I don't fear man. Homo is man. Phobic is fear. I'm homo sapien sapien. I'm a thinking man thinking. I understand Latin. I understand how the language that we call scientific nomenclature come up to describe the behaviors in living organisms. And the one that stood upright, Homo erectus, all right? The one who began to think and make tools, Homo habilis, the one who began to think and have abstract, we call higher order thinking, he became Homo sapien sapien. He creates the environment under which these other forms of Homo lives. Homo just means man. He is the one that names you. I told you, I said, you want to know where you, this African American thing. I said, well, you can't be so smart because every 10 years over the last 100 years, you had a different name given to you for who you are. African American, Afro American, black, Negro with a big N, colored with a big C. Which one are you? So someone is naming you, and then they have the nerve to tell you right to your face, you know that the black man, you are an endangered species. And you don't even register that to be an endangered species means someone else is hunting you to extinction. And how they're doing it, getting you to do their work for them. I said, brother, if we would count up the number of deaths of blacks, African American, Negroes, and the name that never left for the last many centuries, niggas, that word has been constant over the centuries. If we were to count up the number that was killed just in any weekend of all of America, you think we at war with ourselves. And I said, if that was been done by the KKK, we would go to war. But they got it set up so you do it, and don't even register that they're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And this psychology goes. You get one black to kill one black and lock the other one up for life. He become part of our human warehousing system. And then he say you're gonna learn Islam in the joint. He in prison now, all of a sudden he finds God. What's going on? Let's get into it. And the future will be better than the present. God says, وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَدَ. The night, things are still now. The night, you at home, you rest. And I want to jump to, in this time of stillness, you should be thinking, how can we make the present, how can we make the future, better than the present? There are some rules that God gives us that I want to talk about here today. One of the rules is, God says, when we look at this situation, it could be real dispiriting if you don't put it in the right context. So the rule that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us that the future will be better than the present, he says, لَا نُكَلِّفُ نَفْسِ إِلَّا وُسْعَهَا. Allah places no burden on a soul beyond what he has given it. Think about that. Whatever you are dealing with, brothers and Muslims, you can handle. You have the capacity to handle whatever you are faced with. Now, so we are faced with some very challenging circumstances. We're in an environment where this Islam is new to us, and the condition under which Islam is new to most of Islamic thinkers. Right? I say again, you can't tell me a book written by any scholar from overseas telling me how to deal with this thing. Right? So that's a burden on me. Because when I go to get examples, so I can kind of compare where we at on the road of progression, if there's no roadmap, I gotta not go on complete faith. Because there's no, okay, they said, well, you have a masjid, Imam Muhammad, you have a masjid here in Philadelphia. Your next step would be, if that was the case, Imam, because give me that book so I know how to go, because I want to know how, you have approximately 100 families now involved in your masjid. How much, then they should give, according to our blueprint here, they should give about $100 a week, and we'll be able to take that money, and over the course of a year, save that money, and you'll be able to. There's no book on that. You are unique. Because you'll hear khutbah 1 week, get upset, and stop giving the next week. Yet say, you Muslim. We make an appeal that, look, okay, you've been in the masjid for X number of years. What group are you with? What's your interest? Interested in the children, the pioneers, security, education, business? No, you're interested in coming to Jumuah, hearing a khutbah, and going home. And that's it. And so that's a burden on leadership. Because you are emulating behaviors of Muslims who are established in a whole society. It's okay, if I came from any country, let's say I came from Nigeria. The vast majority of people in Nigeria are Muslim. And so when I go to the masjid, they're not discussing issues that's facing the development of from masjid to community to establishment. They're talking about probably, law, but I'm just gonna guess on this. They're talking about spiritual matters. They're talking about, they're not just dealing with, now you're married to a non-Muslim, and when you make your prayers, she turned on hip-hop, blasting in the house. There's nothing in the khutbah about that. They're not dealing with that. You got generational Islamic life. Mother, father, grandmother, grandfather, great-grandfather. You go back maybe 10, 20, 30, maybe 40. Go back 1,000 years. So when you follow that model, you go back one And you probably go back to a Christian who was nominal at best. You probably, in many cases, were the first Muslim in your whole family line. All right? So if you try to follow, as much as we may love our brothers from Africa, or from Egypt, or Saudi Arabia, whatever, they don't have these situations that we're dealing with. Now they get them when they come in. They get the same illness that we got. They get a lot of time. But what I'm saying to brothers and Muslims, you are writing the script as you go along. You're writing it as you go along. And once you realize that burden should be lifted. It's okay, I know now, I gotta first do job one. What's job one? I gotta learn the Quran. Because I can't build Islamic life not knowing Islamic sources. I can't skip over the Quran and assume that all of you know everything that's already to be known in the Quran. So we have to take time to explain to you almost like a word-by-word analysis of the different surahs so you can build up a knowledge body. Without the knowledge body, there is no expression of the knowledge. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He found you an orphan and He gave you shelter. Now, a Muslim who thinking the Prophet said he was an orphan, but he never was outdoors, he didn't need no shelter, he always lived with somebody. So if you interpret that particular surah, that particular ayah, let's do just that ayah for a minute, as being, that's talking about the Prophet when his father died and his mother died. That's historical fact, that's true. But that won't help us. But now, if you understand our why, as I mentioned this in previous clip, as being this language environment, then you understand that the Prophet said he had to have something to comfort his soul. Because even though he had a place where he physically lived, he was bringing in a new idea that was in conflict with what was already in the environment. So God said to him, he was orphan. Orphan means what? No protecting parents. There was no institution protecting him, but he couldn't go to somebody and say, look, okay, I received revelation, how should I implement it? He had to have faith, he had to work. All right? He had to work it. And as you see, and God is guiding him, he said, we found you an orphan, and we gave you refuge. Or that's how they translate it. We gave this our way. This our way, I said again, brothers, if you don't have in your life system a language where it reinforces what you're trying to live, this environment is subtly, subliminally suggesting you, first of all, Islam is backwards. Islam, when you become Muslim, you gotta be strange. I met Muslims, they look at me and say, well, where's your kufi? How come you wearing a suit? I said, what is Islam being dictated by what a person wears? Islam is a knowledge body. All right? And I'm living here in America. Where you think you are? And what time are you? Islam did not come to stop the progression of man at the time of our Prophet ﷺ. God says in the Quran, in Surah Al-Imran, 134th ayah, He said, Muhammad is the messenger of God. He said, Muhammad is no more than a messenger. If he died or is killed, will you turn back? This is what God says of Muhammad ﷺ. This message comes to liberate human beings, and it will continue by God's grace to continue to free people as long as there are people on this earth. It is not predicated on the life of the man Muhammad who became the messenger of God. The Quran will be here, motivating, transforming people long after we are gone. All right? So our first thing is we must get the language environment of the Quran. Because we've lived in a world where the language environment is misinterpretation of Bible. And if you think what I'm saying is not true, you even have many Muslims who translate the Quran based on biblical scholars. I'll give you an easy example. What's the first word in the Bible? In. I-N. What's the first word, how they translate in the Quran? In. Now the word be don't mean in. You want to say in Arabic is fi. Well, how is it that we have translated the book of God, which said Bismillah, and then it said theism. No, brother, that's not. Some of you don't understand. They influence even the translation of the Quran. Because I say again, ask anyone who knows anything about Arabic, Bismillah cannot be properly translated as in. Because the word in means with. All right? The word fi means in. Simple Arabic. Now, this is important. That fi is important, but not there. It says, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Now you have the in. Fi, in the message of Allah, the behavior tendencies that are in him have become the uswa that God wants all of us to emulate. Not as out of show, not as exterior. So again, here we are looking, reading the Quran, especially many of us, I think too many of us, are on the plantation of translation. Our ancestors fought hard to be free of controlling ideas. We come to Islam and we settle for somebody else's understanding of the book of God. But the future will be better for you than the present. The future will be better. Because as I travel around, inshallah, next 2 weeks from now I'll be down in Atlanta, I see many of our young Muslims are learning to take what we've given them in our struggles and have had the opportunity to learn the Quranic Arabic and put it together. Now they're moving, they call it our community life moving forward. How do you take this knowledge of the Quran and our life experience here in America and move forward? How do we get our share of this American life using Islamic strategies? That's where we're at. And the future will be better for you than the present. But I say that, brothers and sisters, we are those who just yesterday was pleading to Allah for guidance, begging for help. And Allah gives us help in the form of a book, the most perfect book. He gives us the Quran. But yet, we don't stick with that. We want something other than the Word of God. And I tell you this, brothers and sisters, there's nothing else coming. There's nothing else coming that's gonna elevate human beings. Nothing else. And if we would just keep in mind that with the establishment of the Quran, it set the standard for all time that what knowledge for humanity will be. This book established for us that the language environment that's going to motivate man, that has motivated man, and will continue to motivate man, is in the Quran. Now, those of you who may know Masons, the Shriners, other people in secret society, it's sad, but I've known people who say they're Muslim who go to these societies and have them tell them what I just said to you. That's sad. Why should you wait to go and pay money and go make all these oaths to them? Let me tell you, well, you know the Quran is the book. You're leaving what God has given you. But you know what it is, brothers and sisters? We don't trust the words of Allah. We don't have faith in what God has given. God says this. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. He says, Alif Lam Mim. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. That is the book. And it is guidance without doubt for those who are conscious of God. And I thought about that and I said, well, if people have a doubt, the book says it has no doubt. So the doubt must be in us. That we doubt the power of the Quran to transform us, to guide us, to lead us. So for us, too many of us, I should say, we don't develop that awwak, that language environment where our spirit and our mind exists and is nourished off of the Word of God. And as a result, every little wind that blows in society can get us going that way. Very few of us stick with the methodology of the Qur'an, and we wonder why we are in the state we're in. God says in the Quran, he says, "Oh, you believe. Let each soul look to what he has prepared for tomorrow. And forget not Allah, for Allah will make you forget your own soul." You remember where we were at before we prayed to Allah and pleaded to Allah to give us a way out of our situation. Each of us know our own personal situation. And when Allah showed us the light of Islam, we thought we knew we had finally received the right way. A few years down the road, remember now, look at, in the first few years, you learn how to pray, you learn surah of the Quran. But ask yourself, how much have you grown since those initial years? What have you done since then? Maybe we had so much energy to want to come to the masjid and make salah, be on the committees, work. Now we now become Friday to go to Jumuah Muslims. And wonder why. Remember I said again in my opening, you're competing against a mind that want to keep the power of God out of you so they can put the power of themselves in you. Think about this, brother. How much time do you give to studying the words of Allah? How much time do you give to watching sports, entertainment, listening to music? You start adding all that up, then your behavior is reflective about what you give your mind to. It ain't no mystery. If you give your mind to those things over the Quran, then we expect you to be, and then you look at your children, you do mad at them, but look what type of mental diet they're eating. They walk around like, I'm gonna go to bed with the cell phone or with the iPod stuck in their ear. And you wonder why they don't behave like Muslims. Well, if you getting almost 24/7 of, I'm gonna wax you with my clock now, come on now. What you expect for them to do? Their mind, we told you this from the beginning of this mission, words make people. And if the word you listen to is not forming your mind, what is? You're a product of the word you allow to form your mind. But the future will be better for you than the present. Let's ask Allah for forgiveness.